Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down a large winter storm that'll be impacting the United States tonight all the way through Tuesday morning. And this storm is going to bring a lot of problems because we're going to see a lot of ice accumulation in some areas, which will lead to power outages and major travel impacts. In addition to this, we'll be watching for some snow, isolated severe weather, flooding, rainfall, and as well as a warmer weather pattern that's on the horizon. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, and I do want to go ahead and mention that make sure that you are subscribed to the channel down below. We'll be doing a lot of coverage on this particular winter storm over the next couple of days, so again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll have multiple videos on this over the next couple of days. And let's hop right into this winter storm that'll be impacting the United States, and this is the infrared imagery, and I want to give you an idea of where it's located right now. The low pressure center is over near Colorado and back into New Mexico. That's where the main center of this is. We have a strong southerly wind which is pulling moisture out of the south that's leading some moisture into Texas as well as Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and back through Arkansas. And really the main area that we're watching for the potential for ice accumulation over the next 48 hours will be anywhere right in here. So from North Texas back in Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, everybody basically in that black circle at least has some sort of chance of seeing ice accumulation over the next 48 hours, which does mean we're going to see some ice accumulation. And again, that could lead to some travel impacts in addition to some isolated power outages. And I wouldn't even rule out some ice accumulation all the way back up to the north and east near Ohio and as well as back over in Indiana. Now that I've painted the picture for you with this particular winter storm, let's go a bit more in detail now. Go through the future radar, give you a detailed breakdown on who will be seeing ice accumulation, how much ice you'll see, what kind of impacts you'll be dealing with. In addition to all this, we'll also be going through the timing location by location in terms of regions. But let's first begin with a bit more of a broad look at everything and kind of give you an idea of where all this is going to be falling. This is what we're looking at tonight. So we do have a little bit of freezing rain ongoing across parts of Oklahoma. We also have some freezing rain near Missouri and as well as going through eastern Kansas as we get closer to this evening. This is going to pick up more in intensity though as we go overnight tonight. So notice how that pink color starts to expand in size. That is freezing rain, and that'll be stretching anywhere from North Texas near the Red River all the way back into areas in Illinois, and I wouldn't even rule out a little bit of freezing drizzle back over in parts of southwest Wisconsin and as well as eastern Iowa. Once we go into tomorrow morning, that freezing rain will continue. We will have pockets of moderate to heavy freezing rain tomorrow morning, especially across southern Missouri and northwest Arkansas and even eastern Oklahoma. And what that means is that the ice will accumulate very quickly. Here's a key note though, as we go throughout the day Monday, that wind coming out of the south is actually going to lead to warmer weather getting pulled out of the Gulf of Mexico, and that's actually going to lead to warmer temperatures across much of the southern tier of the United States. So the good news with this ice storm is that it's not going to last all week long, and it really won't even last much more than 24 hours because all that freezing rain will for the most part taper down by Monday evening across areas like Arkansas. There will still be some freezing rain back over in Illinois, Missouri, and back into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, but notice back down in Arkansas, almost everything is into a pure cold rain, which means the temperatures will be above freezing, and that'll lead to the melting trend as we go into Tuesday morning. So a lot of the ice that accumulates tomorrow will be melted off by Tuesday across almost the entire region in the southern plains because the temperatures will be warming up. By the time we go into Tuesday afternoon, we'll be dealing with snow from Iowa back into New York, and once we go into Wednesday, that system moves into the northeast where it really starts to weaken out, and then we'll be watching for another storm behind this as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. This particular storm we're not really going to talk about too much in this forecast, but it will bring the threat of isolated severe weather from Texas back into Florida. Overall, I'm not too concerned about the severe weather threat. I think it's going to stay on the very low side of things, but we might also get a little bit of freezing rain or some sort of wintry precipitation back up in the Midwest as we go into sometime on Wednesday. But by Thursday, the warm air is going to lift so far up to the north here that we're basically going to be dealing with just a cold rain if you're in the Midwest or even back into the Northeast. Wouldn't even rule out some thunderstorms in going into Wednesday night into Thursday morning across parts of the Ohio Valley. And by Friday, that system would move off to the east and we'd be done with those two disturbances. Now let's go more in detail with this winter storm, and we'll begin with the watches and warnings across the United States because there are a ton of them. We have winter weather advisories stretching from southern Michigan all the way back through North Texas. Main reason why is because we'll be looking at ice accumulation. This has really nothing to do with snow out of this particular storm because almost all of this will be freezing rain. We also have ice storm warnings officially in effect across parts of eastern Oklahoma back into northwestern Arkansas. Pretty small area area, and what this means is that we have a pretty high likelihood at this point of seeing greater than a quarter of an inch of ice in this area. So if you're again in that particular region, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you are staying safe with this storm. I would avoid travel impacts will pretty much be significant in those areas, in addition to some power outages. And also we have winter storm warnings in effect across parts of central, southern, and eastern parts of Oklahoma. And again, that is mainly due to the fact of this ice storm. All right, let's go through the timing hour by hour. We'll begin with tonight. Freezing rain has already begun across parts of Oklahoma. Most of this activity right now is isolated. Once we get closer to midnight tonight, freezing rain will pick up in intensity more than not. We'll start to see more freezing rain across Oklahoma. It'll start to begin in northern and western parts of Arkansas right around midnight tonight. Notice the HRR model keeps most of this rain in North Texas as cold rain. It'll be pretty close. We're going to be very close to either seeing a little bit of freezing rain or just seeing a cold rain. Either way, I would still be taking the proper precautions tonight and also tomorrow morning. Take it slow on the roadways. If any ice accumulates down in North Texas or southern Oklahoma, most of it will be mainly on overpasses and bridges and not necessarily the main roadways. By tomorrow morning, this is when you wake up around sunrise. We'll be dealing with freezing rain anywhere from southern Oklahoma back into Missouri. The most of the heaviest of this freezing rain will be across northwestern Arkansas, southern Missouri, and further up to the north, which we'll show you in just a second. Once we go into the afternoon hours, so this is lunchtime, almost all of this turns into a cold rain, so it'll be warm enough for it to just be purely rain. And then once we go later into the afternoon, again, notice all green here, anywhere from Missouri back into Louisiana and Texas, which means, again, just purely rain after we get past about 1 to 2 o'clock tomorrow. In terms of ice accumulation, this is a pretty solid estimate, in my opinion, about what we'll be seeing. Again, I think this is a bit of an underestimate. I think we'll see more ice up here more than not, probably around a quarter of an inch of ice, maybe a little bit more or less. Again, give or take about a tenth of an inch of ice in this region across eastern Oklahoma, back into northwest Arkansas. Even southern Oklahoma has a chance to get around an isolated quarter, half inch of ice. That'll be the range I'll be looking at. And then back over North Texas, again, it's a bit of a 50-50 chance, but I think more than anything, if we do see ice, it'll be anywhere from a glazing up to a tenth of an inch of ice. Southern Missouri, we're going to talk about more in detail in a second, but those areas up there, again, probably around a quarter of an inch of ice as well. Here's the timing for the Ohio Valley and back into Missouri. Again, notice overnight tonight, this is at 2 in the morning. We'll be looking at some ice accumulation across areas near St. Louis. Notice there actually will be a little bit of snow on the northern side of this moisture, which means that there will be some light to moderate snow across Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, wouldn't even rule out a little bit in southern parts of Wisconsin. Once we go into the morning hours, that moderate to heavy freezing rain will extend from southern and central Illinois back into Missouri, with the main focus of it being in southern Missouri and also near the St. Louis area. By the afternoon, that freezing rain does continue, and by the evening, we'll still be looking at a pretty good area of freezing rain all the way through the late evening Monday into Tuesday morning, anywhere from Illinois back into parts of northern Ohio. And this could very easily lead to some pretty significant ice accumulations in some areas. And then eventually Tuesday afternoon, that ice accumulation will start to wind down as the temperatures warm up. Now, in terms of ice accumulation, this is the latest estimates. I think most areas here across the Midwest and as well as the Ohio Valley will be mainly anywhere from a glazing of ice up to a tenth of an inch of ice. However, there will be some exceptions to this, primarily across northern Indiana back through southern Michigan. There will be a couple of isolated spots near a quarter of an inch of ice, and then back over near St. Louis into southern Missouri, this area as well, anywhere from a quarter to a half an inch of ice in an isolated location or two is expected down that direction as well, but the majority of areas will be around a tenth of an inch of ice or less. Now, for the Midwest, most of this area will not be dealing with freezing rain unless you're from about Chicago and southward. That would be the area to watch for some minimal ice accumulation, but overall, the main thing I'm talking about here is the snow potential. This will begin around sunrise on Tuesday, and this will run for about 6 to 12 hours, stretching from eastern Iowa back into Michigan. It's going to be a pretty thin area overall, so I'm not expecting a substantial amount of accumulation, but for those that do see snow, we're actually going to see a little bit of snow. I mean, this is not anything crazy out of the ordinary, but it's at least something. If you're back over near the Chicago suburbs, 1 to 3 inches of snow is expected there, and then back over in central and southern Michigan, I would expect around 2 to 4 inches of snow. Some isolated locations will get upwards of 4 to 7 inches of snow, primarily closer to Detroit. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.